How are you? It's Kevin Kenny. This is a brand new episode of Build. We're coming to you live from the corner of 4th and Broadway on a very sunny, beautiful day and hot in Manhattan. And our guest today has been, speaking of hot, on a hot streak this year. His past 3 releases have garnered over 60 million streams worldwide. And literally 13 hours ago, a little over 13 hours ago, he got off stage. His first ever headlining show out in Brooklyn, sold the place out. Let's make some noise for Alec Benjamin.
Where am I supposed to look?
You can look at me, or if I'm hard to look at, you can look at anybody in the audience. But
hey guys,
Alex, we got to give Alex some credit here. You were just on stage, as I was saying at the top of the show, like 13 hours ago. Yeah. How much, when you get off stage, you know, you must be on such a high. It must be hard to fall asleep. How much sleep did you get last night?
I actually woke up really late, so I slept pretty good actually.
You did? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but I fell asleep late, but then I woke up at like 10:45. Right. And then my friend Austin, we're sharing a room, and he was like, do you need to get up? You're going to be late for everything. I was like, no, it's cool. 5 more minutes. Yeah.
So we can thank Austin back there for getting you here on time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Well, how was the show? Because we were talking briefly in the back about just the differences between a show. If you're watching at home, you don't know, Alec played a venue called Baby's All Right. Very small, intimate venue, I should say. Not so much small, but very intimate out in Brooklyn. It's a room where you can kind of, if you want to, you can look around, you can see all the faces of people, and that's kind of nice, especially for your first headlining show. How was the vibe last night? What did it feel like?
It was cool. I mean, it was the first time I ever done anything like that, so it was exciting for me. And I've always I've opened for a bunch of people, and it's cool because actually, like last year, I played on the street in front of that venue and just was handing out cards in front of other people's shows. So like for me to get to actually like perform in the venue. Oh, sorry. I'm like, oh, now I'm like very aware of my body and everything, you know, because people are watching and stuff. So I'm like, oh. Wow. But yeah, it was really cool because, you know, I finally got to do a show in a venue that was my own show. So I was really excited, and it's cool to see people sing your songs, and because that's why you make music, you know. I write music to express myself, obviously, but when you see that your music, like people care enough to learn the words to a song, it's a very, very special thing. So.
I gotta imagine there's nothing better than that as an artist.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like making music and spending time with my family and playing shows, like that's it. Like those are the things that I like to do. It's like not even just as an artist, it's like as a human being. That's what I am. So oftentimes people will be like, what do you do outside of music? And I'm like, nothing. Yeah.
This is what I do. You mentioned playing outside that venue, just on the street handing out cards. You did that on plenty of streets, not just here in America, but I understand worldwide. You've said in past interviews where you have a little bit of social anxiety in certain situations. Maybe you're not the
yeah, I'm freaking out right now.
Yeah, maybe you may not be the most, you know, extroverted person. I love the story. I'm jumping around a little bit here, but the only club you've ever been to, I understand, is right here in New York. You went there once, just wasn't for you. But where do you find the confidence then to go up to people outside venues and sort of not so much busk, but just play music for them? That's kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah. It was, and it's still like, well, I guess sometimes like when you want something really bad, you just have to force yourself to do it, and then when you go out and do it enough times, I was gonna say it gets easier, but it actually doesn't. I just really like making music and sharing my music with people, so I'm still not really like I'm not comfortable doing it, but I just care about sharing my music so much that I just force myself to do it anyways, and then afterwards I find like, oh, it wasn't as scary as I thought. And then I have the same thing every time. You know, I always get nervous before I go on stage or do anything like that. So, yeah.
Do you have a mantra you say to yourself, or like a pep talk you'd give yourself before you would head over and ask someone to play music for them?
No.
You would just head in?
Yeah, I just go for it. I mean, sometimes I'm like, all right, you could do this. Like, you got to go do it. Actually, sometimes I bring a friend with me, and then my friend will just be like, bro, like, you dragged me all the way here. Like, let's go. Let's get this over with so we can go home. Yeah.
Do you have any tips on, I mean, I have to imagine there would be the person that would say, hey, no, thank you, or like, you know, you're a weirdo, don't play me music. How do you recover from that? Like, you know, for your fans watching, do you have any advice handling rejection?
Well, yeah. I think, like, my one thing is that getting rejected sucks. So like it's okay because everybody on a certain level feels kind of frustrated or maybe upset or sad when they get rejected, but I think knowing that like you're not the only person that feels that way sometimes makes it easier. And then also like there's like 8 billion people in the world, so you don't have to please everybody. As long as you can find just like a few people out of that 8 billion, like that's enough to create an audience for yourself. So like you can get no's more than you get yeses and still be okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big world. You don't
It's
have
important to remember that, and it's hard to remember that. But I see the word narrator, of course, across your chest there on the T-shirt. You think of
Yes.
yourself as a narrator. You almost think of
Well,
yourself as that before you.
I do now. Yeah.
But where does that come from? That notion.
I think it's just like a lot of the songwriters and people that I listen to tell stories, and so I think if you tell stories, like on the back of a shirt has a definition. But if you tell stories, then you're like a narrator. So I guess that's what that would make me.
Did you have a love of books growing up?
No.
No, you hated books.
No, but I listen to stories through music.
Okay.
I'm not like a. It's such an unattractive thing to say, but like I hate reading, but like I like to I like stories, and I listen to podcasts and audiobooks and things like that, and I do read a lot, but I prefer to listen to music, and so that's how a lot of my favorite stories like Cats in the Cradle and like songs like Puff the Magic Dragon and stuff, like I got those stories through songs.
That is really cool. I bring up books only because of this. I'm familiar with your music. I'm a fan of your work, and I've heard you speak in prior interviews about feeling a bit, as far as disposition goes, feeling a bit within and without, right? You're an observer, but you're also a part of a scene. And it reminds me of a narrator from a famous book named Nick Carraway from the book Great Gatsby. I don't know if you've ever seen the movies or...
I have not.
No.
I haven't.
He was somebody... No, I mean, you might want to look into it because I think there are a lot of parallels, if I can say so, between your work and what Nick goes through in that novel of being, a part of a scene, but then also being able to remove himself and observe it and write about it as you do through your music.
Cool.
So
I guess I got to read.
That's on your summer reading list.
Unfortunately, now I have to read the book.
Yeah.
No, it will be great. I'm excited. And my mom would be happy. She's always like, "You should read more books."
Speaking of your parents, very supportive.
Yes.
I know they probably mean the world to you.
Yeah.
Did they get a little mad when you said they're getting old in the song?
No, because well, I was inspired to write that song because of my parents. Because my parents always said to me like, when we're gone, the only person that you're gonna have is your sister. And my sister and I are like very close, but we used to fight a lot like when we were younger, and so they would always say that. And now I'm getting to that age where like, they always tell you like if you have like one good friend, then you're lucky. And then I was always like, oh, like for sure, like whatever, because I was lucky enough to like grow up in a small community. It was tight knit, and I knew a lot of people. And then I moved to California, and my friends started to move, and it's like, wow, I really do just have my sister. And so I think even though like my parents are like, they probably don't love to hear that they're getting older, they're like happy to hear that I'm finally realizing like what they said to me is true, and my sister and I are getting closer. So it's cool, and I think they're cool with it. But no, my mom was like, you should tell them that's your other parents that are getting old. Yeah, but no, it's okay.
That's funny. So you grow up in Arizona. At what point do you move to LA? You're somewhat. Are you a teenager at that point?
I was 18 when I moved to California.
So you pretty much entirely grew up in Arizona.
Yeah.
Now, I'm from New Jersey, so when Jersey has this weird culture where if a band is from Jersey, you almost accept them as your cousins. There's just this Jersey pride. I'm curious, does Arizona have that in terms of music? Like I think of an Arizona band like Jimmy Eat World,
right?
Or is there that sense? What is it like growing up there?
I think Arizona doesn't have that many pop musicians coming out of Arizona. I feel like a lot of amazing artists. Well, there are a lot of awesome artists that come out of Arizona, but I feel like I don't know. It's hard to say. I'll let you know. I'm going on tour, and I'm gonna have my last show of a tour in Phoenix. And so if people give me that love, then like that would be awesome, and I'd be happy to have Arizona claim me. So I don't know yet, but I think Arizona is an awesome place, and I think the people are really accepting, and I think they'd be proud, I hope. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no. It's a lot of this is still TBD. You've had so much success. You're on the show, but you're still so new to this. But then also not so new to this because you've been through your trials, your tribulations. You were actually dropped from a former label the day after you handed in your album?
Not the day after, but like pretty much. Like I made a full record, and then I was signed to label for 2 years, and I made a full album, and then I had a mix and master, and I handed it in like pretty much like a few weeks later. They were like, yo, my manager called me, and he was like, hey man. And I was like, what? He's like, unfortunately they're not putting out your record. And I was like, oh no. So I had to kind of start again. So I've been doing it for a while, but actually like having people listen to my music, and it's like crazy to me that like there were people at the show last night, and that there are some people here and some of the same people. So that's pretty cool. It's nice to see you guys again. But like the fact that people want to come and see me is really exciting and very new to me, and it makes me really happy, and also like I still can't believe it. So thanks for that. Yeah, it's really cool.
I'm sure you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, I understand that you kind of kicked it into high gear, overdrive, if you will, after you got dropped. You went on a self-funded tour, self-booked tour of Europe?
Yeah, so, well, what happened was, yeah, I did pay for it. It was crazy. But it's not like, I stayed in probably like every budget hotel and slept on every floor in Europe. But I got an offer to play with this artist in France. And it was right after I had gotten dropped, and I was like, all right, let's go. Like, I need to get out of America anyways. Just because, like, I was trying to figure out how to bounce back. And so I'd always wanted to perform and open for somebody. And so I went to Europe and I opened up for this awesome artist named Marina Kay, and we played like 13 cities in France, and then I did tour with this German artist, and her name is Leah, and I played like 8 cities in Germany, and I just went all around, did a bunch of festivals and stuff, and it was really cool. And I remember yeah, because I was doing it by myself, and oftentimes I'd have my friend with me. We drove in like a really tiny car called a Skoda, and we were driving behind a massive tour bus. In Europe, they have like double-decker tour buses, and so we would pull in behind this massive like tour bus, and people would be like, "Okay, cool. Like, where's your guys' production?" We'd be like, "Yo, like." This is us. They'd be like, okay, you know, and you walk into these theaters and people will be like waiting for the band to come out on stage, and I'd be like, no, it's just me, you know. I actually did that a couple of weeks ago. I went to Canada to play a festival, and I walked in. They're like, oh, you must be the tour manager. I'm like, no, I'm the artist. And they were like, okay, where's your tour manager? I'm like, well, I guess I am the tour manager too, so I'm kind of used to that stuff. I don't even remember what your question was, but and I probably gave you guys way too much information. But yes, I did go to Europe, and I did a tour there, and I spent all my money on the tour. So I got home and I was like, all right, what next? But that is when I figured out that I should play for people on the street, because I was in Paris, and I was. It sounds way more glamorous than it actually is. Paris is glamorous, but like the style that I was traveling in was like not crazy. But when I was walking by a Shawn Mendes concert and there were like 800 people on the street, and I was like, well, this is like more people than I played to in the venue, so why don't I just sing out here? And I had always wanted to do that, and everyone was like, no, people are gonna think you're a weirdo. And I did it, and it worked. So I was like, I should do this more often. So that's where that started.
And you've seen Sean since, right?
Yeah.
You had to have shared the story, right?
I told him like 2 weeks ago.
What did he have to say about that?
He was like, that's cool.
That's all he did?
Yeah, no, it's
kept
cool.
It moving?
No. He's really friendly, and I think he was like, that's great.
That's awesome. So that work ethic, was that something that was inspired by your dreams coming crashing down by getting dropped from the label? Or is that something you've always had, even before the first label deal?
Well, I learned a lot. I've always I learned a lot from like what it takes to make music and what it takes to like get everything going. So having the first experience was really good for me. And it's not just about working hard, but it's knowing about like what to do. I feel like sometimes it's really hard to figure things out. So I'm not really sure to answer your question, but I think getting dropped was cool for me because I learned how badly I really wanted to be a musician, and then it was kind of like, well, you're either going to do this or you're not, and you have to go back to school. And I was like, man, if I have to go back to school, I'm going to have to read so many books. So I was like, all right, well, I don't want to do that. But I think no matter what you end up doing, you have to work hard if you want to live. Yeah, life is sometimes difficult.
Yeah, getting out of bed for interviews like this is difficult, as we saw.
Everything is hard. Every field is hard. Even just like day-to-day life is sometimes very trying. So I think everybody has it in them.
Yeah. Well, you certainly have it in you. The work ethic is incredible. The songwriting. You write a song almost every day, I understand. Or you try to.
That's true. I try to. Sometimes when you're traveling, it's hard to do that. But if I'm at home, like, I should write a song.
Yeah.
Why not?
When was the last time you wrote a song?
Yesterday, before my show.
Yesterday? Okay.
Yeah.
And what was this song about?
That song was about, it's called, well, I don't know if I'll put it out, but it was called Elliot's Journal, and it's about a journal that I found that someone had written some things down in it that were personal, and I found it and read it, and then that's what the song is about.
Wait.
Yeah.
How'd you find somebody's journal?
I
Where's the
actually
journal just laying around?
I actually didn't find someone's journal, but the point of it is like, wow.
Oh,
like,
it's the song. Okay.
yeah, the song is about
literally.
it. No, the song is about it, but that's what the lyric is about. But it's just about like you don't know what's going on in people's life, and if you could read their journal, you might know what people are going through.
Right. I'm picturing
so-
Alec like in Brooklyn, like fishing through garbage cans.
No,
and
but
stuff
I
looking
wrote
for
the song
journals.
in Brooklyn, so
Did
you
you?
know, yeah.
Do you record this on like voice notes, or what do you do?
Yeah, I recorded on a voice note. I wrote it with my friend, so we just recorded at his house.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we hand it over to the fans here in attendance, I do want to talk about tour coming up because what you did in Brooklyn is
Mm-hmm.
really just an appetizer. You got another sold-out show in LA. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
But it's really just an appetizer for this fall tour. First ever headlining. So round of applause for that. That's massive.
Thanks. Hey,
You must be
you don't
beyond
have to.
stoked.
You don't have to applaud me because hopefully you guys will be there. So you give yourself a round of applause.
There you go. Save the
Yeah.
claps for tour. What are you looking forward to most about that tour, though?
Well, there's a lot of things, but I'm looking forward to like I like to learn, so I think it's going to be a big learning experience for me. So I'm excited to just learn a lot of new stuff and grow as an artist and as a performer. And I think maybe it will help me like learn how to write songs because if you don't play shows all the time that are your own, I guess you don't really think about how your songs are going to feel when you perform them on stage. But I think it will be nice to have that perspective when I play and then I go back and write more music.
Definitely.
So that would be cool.
Well said, Alec. All right, let's get to our first studio audience question. It'll come from right up here in the front.
Hi. So my question is, if you could collab with anyone, who would you want to collab with and why?
Anybody who wants to collab with me, I'd be down to collab with. Because I feel like it's only special.
Anybody?
Yeah, well, not anybody, but like,
You'll get a lot of
if,
tweets
like,
after this now.
I can't, the person would also have to be, like, excited about it, too. Because then if it's just, like, a one-way thing, then it's, like, not exciting. But, I mean, any of the artists I listen to would be cool to write a song with. I love Jason Mraz, so I'd like to write a song with him one day. That'd be cool. Yeah, he's cool, huh? We like him. Yeah.
Thanks.
Great question. All right, Jason Mraz, I like that. Put it out in the universe.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to our second studio audience question. It'll come from in the back.
Yes. I love Gabriel.
Cool.
At the end of the summer, and
Cool.
also I Built a Friend.
Okay.
But I wanted to know if there would be a second part to Paper Crown, because that's my favorite.
Oh, for
I
real?
love that song. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wasn't thinking about it, but there could be. If that's something that you want, then
That would be
I'm
amazing.
down. Like I'm always, since I write a lot, like I'm always looking for things to write about and like ideas. So when I sit down, I'll keep that in the back of my mind. If it comes out and it's good, I'll send it to you. And if it sucks, I'll tell you I tried. And then you'll never hear it. But that's cool. Thanks for listening to my music. I appreciate it.
That's awesome. Let's get to the final question of the day. It'll come from over here.
Hi, thanks for being here. So you talked a little bit about being an independent artist. So I was wondering if there was any independent artist that you like take inspiration from, or you would like want to give a shout out to.
Okay, well, I have to make this confession now because like it's not like a secret or anything. But so basically, like what happened is like I was signed to Columbia and then I got dropped, and for 2 years I was independent. And so like a few months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, so I'm signed to Atlantic now. Yeah, I was like, oh, maybe I won't talk about it. And then I looked up my Wikipedia page, and then it was like on my Wikipedia page. So I was like, all right, it's like cat's out of the bag, you know. But so say your question one more time. What was the question?
Well, so when you were like working as an independent
Yeah.
artist, but currently like now in terms of like independent artists that you like find inspiration from, or you would like to give a shout out to, is there anybody?
Well, I mean, there's a lot. Like, I'm a big fan of this artist named Lauv. He's awesome. He's my friend, and he's independent. And then, yeah, I mean, there's so many artists that are out there that are doing their thing. But I would say he's the first person that comes to mind, and I love him and his music. So shout out to him. Yeah.
I went to school right down the road here at NYU.
Yeah. Did you go to NYU?
No.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I know he did.
He did. Yeah. Yes.
That's cool. All right, well, Alec, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah,
The
thank
music
you for
sounds
having me.
fantastic, as we all
Thanks.
know. And tour, again, kicks off this fall. Best of luck out there.
Cool. Thanks. And do I get to say hi to everyone after? Is that cool? Like. Is that
Yeah. we got to say goodbye to the folks at home,
Okay,
but you
all
can
right.
say goodbye to everybody here.
Bye.
All right, thank you so much for watching.